Welcome to Igls on the mountainside above the city of Innsbruck in the Tyrol region of Austria. We're here for the 8th of 9 races in the Wiesmann FIBT Women's Skeleton World Cup. And as we get into our second and deciding heat, we have the tantalizing prospect of a rookie slider potentially claiming victory here. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me is John Montgomery, the Olympic champion, and as well as a regular World Cup race for every European, the European Championships are up as well. Well, with a shot at the medals here, perhaps the best run of her career so far, Janine Flock of Austria in 4th place after Heat 1, just a whisker out of the race lead. And John, she's got a real chance.
She's wearing the holy cow, and she got us saying holy cow, as so did Maria Orlova here with her smoking first run.
Well, there's about a 1/10 of a second between the two of them. 2 Russians in the top 3. It's the first time we've been able to say that in a very long while. Noelle Piker's pace won last week for the first time in 9 years. Can she make it 2 in under 9 days? She led for a long while, but she trails by just 0.05 of a second to the junior world champion, Yelena Nikitina. John, she could spring the biggest surprise of the season so far.
Yelena Nikitina is trying to ruin Noelle Pikus' $100,000 payday party, and she is going to come out guns a-blazing for her second run to be able to hang on to her first World Cup win.
Well, Nikitina leading by 5 precious hundredths of a second. Maria Orlova and Janine Flock leading the chasing pack. And Flock, well, she's got a great opportunity here for a first ever World Cup medal. Well, last year's race, the first of the season at Igls, that was notable for a surprise winner, Olga Potelitsyna, who's not been able to repeat that form. So likely might strike again here for the Russians.
It could. This is a good track for the Ruskies. They, like I said last week, were here for the ICC race, 2 weeks ago, excuse me, and took spots 1, 2, and 3 in the women's side and spots 1 and 2 on the men's side. So they've got things dialed, and they've got it really figured out here as far as equipment and sliding style is concerned.
This Innsbruck Igls track, it's been slightly modified since it was a winter venue in '76, but John, it's one of the ones that everybody knows well, so that makes making a difference very difficult.
Well, there's not much to do. As you see here at the very start, the corners are really low pressure, not a lot of speed, the track isn't very steep, and here coming through corner 3, first challenge, trying to stay off that right-hand wall. As you saw the athlete in the camera here just clip, you want to come middle into 5, stay off that right-hand wall again, and when you're coming out of corner 6, staying left and going middle late into Kreisel so that that first pressure and those blue lines stay right beneath your runners. Again, coming out of corner 7 and into 8, you want to be on that right-hand wall and have 1 smooth pressure through 9 there. If you make it 2, you hit that wall on the left-hand side. Coming into corner 10, want to get high, and then over to corner 11 early so you don't get bumped low and get flippy-floppy through this labyrinth section at the bottom of the track into the final curve, corner 14, cutting off the end there, avoiding the left-hand wall, and making your line to the finish eye that much shorter. And then here's the nemesis everybody comes in contact with, the finish line and the finish curve. It's ominous down there, Martin. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of the elements of this track that everybody is a little fearful of, is what happens after you have finished the timing line. Well, 20 of our 26 sliders go through into Heat 2, so the fastest 20 go in reverse order. There is Yelena Nikitina. She'll be last to go. And what will that do to her smiley persona? Will she be a little more focused and concentrated? It'll be the first time in her World Cup career that she stood at the top last of all, but she'll be used to that. She's won races at every other level and the Junior World Championships as well.
But it has to be a vote of confidence going into World Championships next week in St. Moritz, or in 2 weeks' time in St. Moritz. You're always remembering your last race, and if your last race is your first World Cup victory, you are going to have a lot of steam moving forward and that kind of confidence that you can capitalize on when it counts most, which is for us, World Championships.
Well, fast 20 from Heat 1 go through into Heat 2 in Innsbruck, and first off, 20th in Heat 1, Joske Leconte of the Netherlands, coached by Austrian Mickey Grumberger, who knows this track as well as anybody else.
And her coach knows this track, like Martin said, intimately. He knows all the little nuances that you can do to find those precious hundredths of a second, and Joske is going to need all the help she can get here on her second run to try to pick up some spots from 20th down as far as she can possibly get, doing some leapfrogging here. Coming into corner 4, nice line, middle into 5. Getting off that corner early and avoiding that right-hand wall hit that we saw the POV camera athlete take. Nice smooth through those blue lines, staying just below the runners here, and a really nice exit of Kreisel. That's one of the better ones we saw from the first heat as well. Early into corner 9, dropping that toe, really executing well, other than that left-hand bump out of corner 9. Better run for Joske here, 1:15.7. I think that's a slight improvement on her speed at the bottom of the track, getting closer to those athletes that are threatening for the podium, up around 1:17, 1:18, crossing the line with a 56.05.
Well, that's 21/100ths of a second better than her first heat, and you're right, the start was a little quicker and the speeds were up all the way. Now, as the day progresses, the temperature in the air may be rising a degree or two. Could be that the track might just speed up a fraction.
Well, and we heard some of the athletes on the first heat, Sarah Reed at the bottom of the track, saying that the groove was sticky, and she was one of the first 4 athletes to go down. She was, you know, within 3/100ths of Noelle Pika's pace, and we are probably going to see the track pick up a little bit here. Joske Leconte doing a good job executing her game plan here on the second run. A little bit late off of corner 11 there. But she's got to be happy with that, because any improvement over your first heat, especially when tracks typically slow down, is usually a good indicator you did better.
Well, air temperature here in the Tyrol is around -5 degrees, so you don't want to be standing around in skimpy lycra for too long. Maria Mazalou of Romania, 19th after the first heat, was just 2/100ths of a second in front of Joske Leconte of the Netherlands, who is our current race leader. So the first of numerous battles between rivals.
Slight problem there with her hand, switching saddles. She recovered really well, but she did get a little bit grabby with that load on her saddle there. It could have been a bit catastrophic, but she handled it really well.
She started only 5.83, John, to 5.69 in the first heat, so that is going to drop her behind Leconte.
You saw her skidding into corner 2, just ever so subtly, but those types of small mistakes really affect your speed and your trajectory into the next corner. Coming in with 84.9, she's already back. Nice smooth exit. Kreisel there, coming into corner 8, but going late into 9. Higher and didn't have the same kind of line as Joske coming off of that corner with 96.4, 116.9. That's an improvement in speed at the bottom of the track. She's going to be able to claw her way back a little bit, but probably not enough to catch Joske by the finish line here. And she's 25/100ths of a second behind your current race leader from the Netherlands, Joske Leconte.
So Joske stays in the leader's box. Maria Mazalou just a little slower on that run. A few more errors creeping in. Well, John, this is a fairly straightforward track. It's short, just 14 turns. That means perfection is so important.
It is. You've got to be spot on. Coming off of corner 2, or excuse me, 3 there, she gets that left or right hand to a wall hit that we've been talking about. And again, she's high at the corner 9 there, and she gets the left hand wall hit this time. She was tagging the walls, putting her mark on them all, and subsequently she scrubbed time. But she did find some speed at the bottom of the track, and that might be just from letting things go a little bit.
The other thing that happens, of course, is that the wall leaves its marks on you, so she'll be bruised and blue at the end of the day. Now, in uncharted territory here, 18th place after the first heat, Marion Thees of Germany.
Not often you see your World Cup leader bib coming out of the 18th spot on the second heat.
Yeah, without a drama at the start line either, apart from the fact that she just doesn't sprint as fast as the front runners.
The only drama was that her legs weren't moving quite as quick as some of the other athletes, but she had a good lines and a nice smooth descent, no problems.
A little bit of snow starting to fall now, so that might upset the apple cart a little.
That could play to Marion's advantage here if the track has a tendency to slow down for the athletes that are yet to come. 5.84, so she does once again have the slowest start getaway.
5/100ths of a second quicker than her first start. Well, John, it's been snowing every day in training, and so that has affected the way the track has felt, and it may be that it's going to start changing quite drastically if it really starts to snow.
There's going to be some adjustments that the athletes are having to make on a quicker track in comparison to training. Nice exit of Kreisel there. She's going nice into corner 8, a little bit late into 9, though. And she's hung up high at the end there. Does a good job of navigating that and staying off the left-hand wall hit. 97.1 for speed coming out of that corner.
She has the lead over Joske Leconte.
117.8. She's worked her way back into the lead at this point.
And a 56.04 slide, 200s faster than her first run, so not much difference in the track.
And you can see the foam that they've got in the outrun here, Martins. That's just to help us slow down and make that hit on the right-hand side there where that wall curves towards you again, that much less aggressive. But it's going to be hard for these athletes to break no matter what, foam or no foam. Coming here into corner 9 there. She gets high a little bit early, and you see her get pulled up at the end of the corner again. Pushes her off, but an experienced slider like Marion Thies, being able to navigate that, avoid that left-hand wall hit, and then you see her coming out from the other angle there, high through the exit of corner 9.
Kathleen Martini will be racing in the women's bobsleigh race, so her offering her congratulations. Marion Thies 2100s ahead of Joske LeConte. Normally that would leave you in a podium position. What about Cassie Haresh? 20th at the start, 5.74 getaway, and we thought perhaps that was not indicative of where her normal starting pace could be.
She's definitely going to be looking for an improvement on this second heat in terms of her competitiveness at the start here. She's really got to run it over this crest here. We'll see if she takes a few steps over the crest. She did last time, but she may have actually run it too far, and that's the risk you take going over the crest. You can actually slow the sled down.
Sled built by Willie Schneider. You saw the Canadians and Aussie bobsleigh crews cheering her on. 5.76 getaway. Well, again, fractions slower than in Heat 1.
Going nice and middle into corner 3 here. See if she can keep it off that right-hand wall. Takes a small brush there, but she's already 1,300ths up over Marion, and that's all because of the start that she had over her. Middle late into Kreisel, that's the kind of entry you want. She's doing a good job of keeping those blue lines right in the middle of the sled, but she's going late into 8, and this is going to be hard to get over for corner 9. Takes a bit of that flop skid, but avoids that left-hand hit, and that's going to help her maintain some energy and some speed here for the bottom of the track.
Still just in front of Marion Thies.
Took a bump there at the entrance of corner 11, pushed her low and late, and she got really high off of those corners. Just avoiding that short wall.
Stays in front, 55.98 slide. Cassie Haresh in front of Marion Thies. Marion Thies will not be the World Cup leader after this unless Anja Huber crashes out.
5.76 push.
Yeah, she's happy about that. And you see here, she got pushed low at the entrance of this corner, brushing the wall, and then the pressure builds, and she goes flop off of 11, and she's going to be high late out of 12.
Well, one of the few European tracks that she's actually been to before, John, but, you know, one visit doesn't make you an expert, especially in this place.
Coach Keith there just clenching his teeth, hoping that his athlete...
Cassie Haresh, our race leader from Marion Thies and Joske LeConte. Catherine Eustace, 16th after the first of our 2 heats in Igls in Austria. And the Kiwi girl will be looking forward to the World Championships starting next week in St. Moritz, Switzerland, where she has posted her 2 best career results in World Cup racing. Igls not a favourable place, although she's a quick starter.
5.56 start, that's definitely competitive with the top athletes in the first heat.
Now she started a 10th slower in Heat 1, so that's a big change.
Well, I noticed her last step was a little more effectual, Martin, on her second heat here. Her first one, I mentioned that it was a little bit sort of lackluster in terms of its force into the ice, and that one looked much more forceful. She was a little bit middle early into corner 7 here. Let's see. Oh, and she does. She takes that left-hand wall hit out of Kreisel, pushing her late into corner 8, and she's struggling with the next tough part of the track, going late into 9 as well. 95.2. Her speeds are down.
The gap is going to come right down from 4,200s to 37 to 1,700s. 2 corners left. Can she cling on in front of Cassie Haresh?
Oh, she does. She hangs on with a faster run than Cassie, and her time in the leader's box comes to an end.
So Cassie is out, and in will go Catherine Eustace. She was only 500ths of a second behind her closest rival, and just 200ths in front of Cassie, so you can see how tight the gaps are, John Montgomery.
Opportunity to do some leapfrogging if people make mistakes, but when you have a really good start, a 10th faster than her first one, you watch her last step here. And we've seen on a number of races it not be very effectual. That one, much better placed, much more powerful. She pays, gets the dividends for it here. High off of corner 9 there with that left-hand bump, but stays nice and relaxed. You can see her absorbing that hit, keeping those runners parallel, and going straight into corner 10, which is crucial for maintaining all your speed.
Great Britain bobsleigh girls. See Paula Walker there, ready for this afternoon's race and cheering on her teammate in skeleton, Donna Crichton. Andy Schmidt, another Austrian-born coach and former world and European champion, is the coach of the GB skeleton crew.
Great Britain does selection races here in the fall every year to make their team. So all these Great Britain athletes, they know this track better than anybody probably here right now, aside from the Austrians.
Donna hurls herself onto the sled. 5:44 getaway.
Wow, much better start than her first heat, and I think we can see that some of those athletes really didn't perform to their standards on that first run.
Yeah, 5:52 first heat, so exactly like Catherine Eustace, nearly a full tenth quicker.
Having a little bit of a problem with some of her entries here at the top of the track. Doing a good job of piecing it back together here. Going way too early into Kreisel. You're going to see her well above that blue line and dip below again, having to work too hard. Stays off that left-hand wall. She's got a 10th in their pocket right now. She's got to hang on to all that energy. And with that hit, she's going to be struggling at a 95.7 speed coming out of corner 9. Might not be enough to maintain her heading. She is pulling away, though, so shows that I don't know nothing here about the bottom of this track in Austria.
Bodes well for the men's race tomorrow. 55.81 slide, just 700ths of a second quicker than Catherine Eustace. So she adds to the 500ths from heat 1. And 1200ths is the lead as she goes whistling out through, as you say, John Montgomery, this new outrun that didn't exist a decade ago.
I couldn't imagine having come here with facing the threat of smashing into a brick wall underneath this tunnel. I mean, it's mind-boggling to think that they used to have to go that much slower at the end of the run, and equipment probably didn't lend them to go as fast as they did now. But you can see at the end of Kreisel here, she stays off that wall, and that's probably where she generated some energy that some of the other athletes lost. Coming out of 9 here, she's a bit high at the end of the corner. Takes a bump off that left-hand wall, but like Catherine Eustace, does a good job of maintaining that heading and not getting too skiddy after that hit.
Catherine Eustace offers her congratulations. Happy birthday, Mum, is the message from our race leader, Donna Crichton, as young German Sophia Griebel is ready at the top of the track. Took silver medal in the Junior World Championships here in January. 2 World Cup starts in her career so far. This is race weekend number 3 in World Cup action for her.
Bit of a heavy load on her sled there. Might have gone too far. Her legs couldn't carry it quite as fast as 5.70. That's not nearly competitive with Donna Creighton's 5.44 getaway that she had on her first run.
A little faster than her first heat. She was only 22nd at the start, so very similar in style perhaps to Marion Thies.
Very much so, and she's got 4/10 of driving to make up here on this not very technically demanding track in Igls, Austria. And she's going to have to do everything in her arsenal to be able to find those 4/10 by the bottom of the track over Donna Creighton.
Still just 22 years old, started sliding luge when she was 10, converted to skeleton a little later.
3/10, you can see her up above that blue line there in corner 10 where you definitely have to get it. With 1:17.7, only 800ths to go. She could be the new race leader here, coming to the bottom of the track.
She's got the momentum to overhaul her at the line. She only led in one corner, and it was the last corner. But that speed out of the Kreisel, she kept it all alive, John.
She did. She made up 4/10 by the entrance of Kreisel to the bottom of the track. That's some real solid driving and some good performance by Sophia Griebel. And we've seen every athlete come down the track with a #1 rank, so nobody has faltered, nobody has made an error, and everybody is putting up a #1. Here's the blue lines in Kreisel that gives you a good idea of where the athlete is. She stays up above them nearly everywhere. At no point in time does her right runner get underneath those blue lines, and she definitely has a beautiful exit there, staying off that left-hand wall, going right down the pipe into corner 8.
She can teach teammate Marion Thies a thing or two, and that's not easy to do either.
No. Not every day you get to say that I can show Marion how to do this better.
They travel together. They get really well together, the two of them. Next up, Melissa Hollingsworth back on her Davenport sled. She didn't race on it last week, but clearly she just feels a little more in tune with it here at Igls.
Well, and when you're switching equipment, she was on a Bromley sled earlier this week, every day in training except for her last day where she went back to good old faithful Davenport here. And I better than anybody knows the problems with switching equipment like that. You just don't get to develop that finite touch which you need to be able to navigate the track effectively and efficiently. And Melissa may be paying the price for some experimentation here, but she's got to do it. It's not about this race in Igls, it's about Sochi.
Or maybe it's just the comfort feeling of an old faithful, you know, sweater or something that she just knows exactly what it's going to do. And maybe she wasn't feeling that with the Bromley.
Well, and her Davenport is like an extension of her body. She's got more experience on the World Cup Tour than any other athlete on the men's and women's side, save for Kristen Bromley, perhaps. And you can see her with 5/100ths of a lead here, going through Kreisel, getting pretty high compared to Sophia Griebel. Didn't have the same kind of line through Kreisel and took that left-hand wall hit at the exit there. That's a problem she's been having all week. And another left-hand wall hit coming out of corner 9.
This is going to be to the 100th of a second. She's still 500s up, but a fraction slower. Now she's a fraction quicker.
117.9.
She's got the speed. She's only 100th in front, but that'll grow. Yeah, massive margin of 400ths of a second.
I challenge the people at home to blink their eyes, to time 4/100. See if you can press a stopwatch.
Yeah.
Stop and start it within 4/100ths of a second. Your reaction time isn't that quick. They've just traveled 28 corners over almost 2 miles of ice here, and it comes down to 4/100ths of a second.
It's ridiculously tight, and this is by no means the tightest battle that we're likely to have.
So from being behind here to coming back into the lead here, exit of corner 10 into 11, nice and smooth. You can see her lower at the end of that corner compared to some of the other athletes. She's got only 0.1 kilometers an hour of an advantage, but she had a smoother line through the bottom portion of this track, allowing her to keep that speed and pull in front of Sophia Griebel and take over the leader's position right now.
Well, there is Melissa Hollingsworth, your race leader. As Shelley Rudman of Great Britain gets ready to take to the start. Melissa Hollingsworth leads from Sophia Griebel and Donna Crichton.
She's in the lead, but you can see the disappointment written on her face with today's results, because that is not where she's typical to be seen in the double-digit finishes.
Shelley Rudman, the 2011 European champion on this track. Unlikely to reach those heights from 12th place in the first heat. First out the start shed, so she suffered with a sticky groove at the start, but it was more than that, John Montgomery. She just didn't have a great slide.
Well, and another 5:71 start for her. She's probably physically still feeling some of the effects from this flu. Hasn't been able to do the type of training that she needs to compete for World Championships, but she's always a good driver, and seeing her and Melissa Hollingsworth, you know, closer towards the back of the pack just shows how much experience some of these new young sliders are bringing to this World Cup field, really increasing the depth of this women's field.
And perhaps especially here at this Igls track, because that's where so much junior racing takes place.
So some of these younger sliders have experience here, like Nicotina. Shelley Rudman not executing like she would hope there. Nice and low off of corner 11 and 12, but she did have some bumps and some skids towards the top of the track, which has put her in this position on her first run. Another first place run at a 55.74, being 1/1500ths in front of Melissa Hollingsworth. Shelley's now in a position, oh dear, there's that awful outrun we talk about. Shelley's in a position now to potentially pick up some spots over those athletes in front of her with putting down a good second run.
People getting hurt there, John, I think.
Well, if their coach goes sprinting after his athletes every single time because he's scared to death that they got hurt like Dom Parsons did yesterday, it looked like he had a bullet wound in the top of his shoulder from the outrun. Now she takes a hit off that left-hand wall, one of the several hits that she took on her descent down the track here. Another look at the exit of corner 9 there, high at the end, causing her to take that left-hand wall bump.
There is Shelley Rudman. She was saying after last week's race in Koenigsee, she was as weak as a puppy, could barely stand, getting her strength back little by little.
You can see it in her start times. A 5:71 isn't what we're used to seeing from Shelley Rudman.
Lucy Chaffer of Australia, one of 2 Aussie girls who are battling to try and get into the top 10. Lucy was 11th place after the first heat, and her teammate Michelle Steele will be next up in 10th. Lucy, 28-year-old teacher from Perth in Western Australia with a Bromley-built sled.
Really nice start. Runs a couple steps over the top of the crest there and has a really powerful last stride, propelling herself onto her sled and moving herself forward.
First start 5:72, only 20th in the field and giving away a lot of time to a 5:44 quick start.
Really, really nice lines here at the top of the track. Doing very little work to get off those corners. And like Melissa was saying earlier in the week, these Bromley sleds, you can just point with your head off of those corners at the top of the track. She is on a Bromley sled here, a little bit high through Kreisel, avoiding that left-hand wall hit there, but skidding. And she's 200ths behind at this point.
She only had a 200ths advantage over Shelley Rudman, who's also, of course, on a Bromley sled. 96.5, a little slower.
116.4, 700ths back, and I don't think there's any opportunity for her to find that kind of time at the bottom of this track here in Igls, Austria.
Well, they started nearly identically, but Shelley came down 0.2 of a second quicker. That was a bit of a loose second slide, and she clatters into the wall in 6th place.
And this is the first athlete in the first 11 that we've seen, excuse me, first 10 athletes that hasn't had a first place rank when she came to the bottom of the track.
Oh, she's disappointed with that. She knows that the mistakes crept in.
Here at the exit of 9, she didn't do enough work to carry that pressure around the corner. She gets that second pickup and a bit of a hit skid off that left-hand wall coming out of quarter 9.
Well, she drops down the order into 3rd place. Shelley Rudman leads in Igls in Austria. World Cup number 8 in the Wiesmann FIBT Skeleton Championship. And we have 10 sleds still to go.
Die nächste Starterin ebenfalls aus Australien. Wir freuen uns jetzt auf Michelle Steele. Landfrei. Wir haben natürlich noch eine TV-Break hier. Und die können wir jetzt nutzen, um einen Blick auf das Gesamtklassement zu werfen. Shelley Rudman liegt also in Führung aus Großbritannien. Hollingsworth, Melissa aus Kanada ist Zweite. Lucy Chester liegt auf Rang 3. Also super Leistung der Australierin. Beste Deutsche Sophia Redl auf Platz 4. Norman Brayton aus Großbritannien ist 5. Und am 6. Platz eine Athletin aus Neuseeland, Catherine Justice. Noch einmal der Hinweis auf den Bahnrekord. 54,65. Shelley Rudman hat den im November 2011 aufgestellt. Super Startzeit haben wir heute schon erlebt in diesem zweiten Durchgang. 5,44. Das war ein optimaler Start. Und wir haben also jetzt eine Pause, die wir in diesem zweiten Durchgang jetzt den Athletinnen gesehen haben. Und nach dieser Pause geht das Rennen weiter mit den besten 10 nach dem ersten Durchgang. In Führung liegt eine Athletin aus Russland, Elena Nikitina. Das ist World Record Space aus den USA. Lange hat er das mit Startnummer 10 gehalten, bis die Russe mit Startnummer 17 gekommen ist. Und da war Frank Reif, Maria Orlova aus Russland und Janine Klum, die Österreicherin, ist 4. Wir schauen nach oben und warten also jetzt.
Igls in Austria, race 8 in the Wiesmann FIBT Women's Skeleton World Cup. Final 10 sliders to go in a track that is just starting to snow. I'm Martin Haven, calling the action with me, Olympic champion John Montgomery, as Michelle Steele of Australia fires off. First start, 5.61.
5.53, much better improvement on her second start there. Really good last step there, ran over the crest using that two-handed start that we don't see from any other athlete but Michelle Steele here on the World Cup Tour.
Well, she started 5.61 in the first heat, so that's the 3rd girl that's taken nearly a 10th out of their first heat start time.
I think that start groove has really been polished now, smooth. Perhaps it was a bit tight at the beginning. Whoa, way above those blue lines, dipping low. Does a good job of navigating there the exit. Has to do a little bit more work than some of the other athletes there, but nice and early into 9. Best 9 we've seen through 9 all day, and definitely reaps the rewards for that at the exit, having to do very little to come nice and smoothly out.
Looks like she's going to deny Shelley Rudman a place in the top 10.
1:17.7. Beautiful slide from Michelle Steele, coming across the finish line with a 55.40 and almost 4/10 in the lead right now. She really has a good opportunity to pick up some spots here.
John, that's 37 hundredths quicker than her first heat. That would have left her in 3rd place if she'd been able to find that in heat 1.
Well, she's going to get dangerously close there. You're starting to see the athletes get bunched up in this area, and when Michelle Steele lays down like that on the second run, all in execution here. Look at how low she is at the exit of this corner here. Nice and low, maintaining a beautiful profile. Coming into Kreisel nice and late. Gets a bit high here on the first pressure, higher than she would have liked to have been, but she starts to hold the line to counteract for that, so she doesn't get too low on that second pressure. So she's holding up right there and switching to a down steer, so she brings herself low and out.
No wonder she looks happy. She takes the lead with 9 to go, including Katie Eulander of the USA. Katie, who did not slide in this race last year. She was training up for London 2012. She is our reigning women's skeleton world champion.
Eulander's going to have to step up. Michelle Steele just said, here, beat that. Now the challenge is on Eulander to do it in here in the second heat. Let's see what she does for a start.
Well, Katie doesn't like a challenge much, does she?
No, not at all. 560, not what she was hoping for.
Well, still 600 quicker than start 1.
That's surprising to see for Eulander. I don't know if she's battling an injury or if this is just a bad day, an off day for her.
I spoke to her breakfast, and she seemed fine and fit and healthy, so maybe just not finding... Again, maybe it's the length of the start. You know, some athletes have a different way of finding maximum speed.
Well, and here with the Igls start, it's not very an abrupt downhill, so you've really got to gauge it properly where to get on. She might be battling with that here, dropping back just a little bit further behind Michelle Steele. This is where Michelle was really good.
Well, she was really unwell last week and was passed out basically for 2 days here, Monday, Tuesday when she arrived.
Over a click back from Michelle Steele. She's not going to be in the lead, and it's just how many spots is she going to drop? Just one.
Second place for Katie Eulander, so that's another top 10 finish. Katie with 2 wins so far this season, Salt Lake City and Lake Placid. I beg your pardon, La Plana.
11th best start time on the first run here. Katie's usually much better. I don't know what the story is, whether it's a periodization thing with her training, which it very much could be, that she's done a high volume of exercise this week in order to have that peak in 2 weeks' time for St. Moritz, and that's what a lot of the athletes are doing. So that could very well be what the problem was with her on her start. She's just crushed herself this week physically to be able to do real well. Given some of the little tots, some high fives at the bottom, some future Skeletors.
Olga Potilitsina of Russia, the surprise winner of this race last year. We were on for another surprise after the first heat when Emma Lincoln-Smith of Australia led, but it was Olga who claimed victory on her World Cup debut. And a teammate of hers may do that today, but for Olga, 22 years old still, she's not been able to attain those heights since.
No more race victories for her. She's had a couple decent performances, but also up and down. She's on a Duker sled here. The rest of her teammates are on a Schneider sled, so there might be some switching coming into St. Moritz here if she doesn't have the kind of performance that some of her teammates get today.
She's a big Formula One fan, huge admirer of Fernando Alonso, the Spaniard, former world champion. So she obviously likes her speed wherever she can get it.
Really nice lines at the top of the track here. Staying off of those exits, it's a tough challenge to stay off that close wall to you when you're coming off of both 3 and 5 here at the bottom of the track. Nice smooth line through Kreisel.
Still just 100th away from the lead.
Takes a bit of a hit here. She's going to struggle with her speed down at the bottom of the track where some of the other athletes were clean. Michelle Steele was perfect there. She gets a bit skiddy.
Still got the same speed as Michelle Steele. She's still just clinging on.
116.9 down from Michelle Steele. She's in the red.
This is going to be very close. Will she get back in front? No.
Just shows how great of a run Michelle Steele had there on her second heat. Michelle's probably kicking herself, wow, right off the end of her sled here. Yeah. You're going to see all kinds of wipeouts, things that you don't see on most every other track in the world here. You can get a kind of finish that's kind of scary, honestly, in Igls. Exit at corner 8 here, coming into corner 9, a little bit later than what she would have liked. Skid there, and a bit of a flop hit here. She avoids the hit, excuse me, but she definitely skids. Watch her come off the end of her sled here. The foam grabs her sled. She's still got all that forward momentum. That was a pretty fancy move. That doesn't do wonders for your body, and you can see that she's smarting a little bit from that when she was getting up there, Martin.
Yeah, not going to get much for style from the Russian judges for that. Michelle Steele, your race leader, with 7 sleds to go. And John Montgomery, they are packed so tightly that we could see some major changes at any stage. This is teammate Sarah Reed, 4th fastest first start, 5:55. Now let's see if she can break down to the 40s.
She's going to get a 45 here. She'll be a 10th faster. The groove was sticky on the first run. Really powerful athlete. She's going to get well into the 40s, runs it deep, runs it hard. We're going to see a 45, 46 from Sarah here. 51, not like I called it, not what she was hoping for, but an improvement from her first heat nonetheless.
She was 200s behind Lizzie Arnold in front of her, so that will be her immediate target.
1100s in the bank. Sarah's one of the smaller athletes, coming in at around 90 kilograms with both sled and rider combined. She's taken a bit of her weight out of her sled so she can push it faster, but definitely doesn't get the same momentum some of the bigger athletes do. But a beautiful exit of Kreisel there. Nice and early, she wants to get into 9. That's a really nice line. And avoiding that left-hand wall. She's going to have an opportunity. 97.2 kilometers an hour. She should be into the 118, 117.5 here at the bottom. A 10th in the bank. She should be able to hang on to this and take the leader's box for maybe a couple athletes here at the bottom. Oh, dead heat!
Word. Wow!
Being tied is just as good as taking a number 1.
Yeah.
If you got to share the spot, we don't mind sharing in skeleton racing.
Joint number 1 with Michelle Steele of Australia.
There's lots of room in the box at this point because we got the 2 smallest athletes on tour here sharing it at this point in time.
Yeah, vertical room, plenty of that.
Coming out of corner 10 here, nice and high. Staying off the entrance to corner 11. Might have taken a small brush here, getting pushed a little bit low, but definitely picking it out of the corner at the appropriate time. 117.5. She's 0.4K back of Melissa Hollingsworth for the labyrinth speed at the bottom of the track.
Melissa carrying a lot of speed down at the bottom. Yeah, there you go.
An animated Keith Loach, Coach Loach at the bottom of the track there.
Sarah, of course, the winner of the season opener in Lake Placid, New York. Lizzie Arnold of Great Britain, last year's junior world champion.
Lizzie looking to play landlord here and evict these 2 tenants currently residing in the leader's box at the present moment.
23-year-old sensation last year, her first in World Cup. She started 4 races, won 2 of them. 5:57. That's more like the Lizzie start that we were expecting in the one we got in the first heat.
Still not up there where she has been historically, though. And again, some of this might be simply the periodization of training. I know Sarah was working hard this week, and perhaps her less than ideal start for what she was hoping for is a result of that. Same with Lizzie here. Doing a nice job of executing at the top of the track, going in late to corner 7 as she wants to. Flattens it. She's going to have a nice smooth line through Kreisel here.
Well, she's behind on time by a whisker.
Getting into 8, but nice and early into 9. She should have a smoother exit. Still takes that bump, though. Didn't pick it out of corner 9 at the appropriate time.
And nearly a kilometre an hour down.
She is not going to find that 900s that she's looking for. She's 0.7K back of your race leaders at this point. She's going to continue to fall back, but how many spots?
Ooh, 4th place for Lizzie Arnold of Great Britain. 55.68 slide, so it will be a top 10 finish, but not much better than that. And unfortunately,
another nasty ride here at the braking stretch in Igls.
Yeah, her sled is not going to be very happy after that.
You definitely don't want to do that on the first run either, Martin, because if you ding up one of your runners, you don't get a chance to change them. You have to take a small little bit of sandpaper and fix it. High out of corner 11 there, or excuse me, 12, a little bit late into 13. And here is another epic ride. Oh, her sled skips right out from underneath her.
Those runners going to take a lot of work.
They might be in, as the English say, the rubbish bin after today's race.
Originally from Sevenoaks in Kent, just moving down to Bath, where she works and trains.
There's Marion Dunn. She's up at the top, already changed, normally when she's just finishing her warm-up for her second heat.
Anja Huber, the reigning European champion. 5th place after the first heat here, and only the 6th quickest start as well. Now, she was saying to me the other week, you know, I'm 29, I'm the grandmother of the team. She's had over 60 World Cup starts already.
That's incredible. And Junior Luge before that, before she even got into the program. She's been sliding for longer than some of these athletes have been breathing.
Let's see what Anja Huber can do to defend her European title. 5:57 getaway, 5:56 in the first heat.
Not nearly as fast as she once was. She used to dominate by at least a tenth over the second place, or the second fastest starter on tour now, and she's not even the quickest anymore. She's up by 300ths of a second at this point. There's a difference between her and some of the other German athletes. She is resting her head on the fiberglass at the front of her sled, where you see athletes like Marion Thies and Frank Rommel get really low and get that helmet super low to the ice and increase their aerodynamic profile. She's high at the end of corner 9, taking that bump. She may be going to dragging her helmet, because one of her problems was that she drags her helmet everywhere. 116.9 isn't nearly the type of speed that we've seen from some of the other athletes, especially Marion and Melissa. She drops 3 places, comes across with a 4th fastest time.
So same as Lizzie Arnold, she drops 4 spots. Michelle Steele of Australia, Sarah Reid of Canada still leads, and Anja Huber is no longer the European champion.
Watch when she gets on her sled here. She takes her last step, which is effectual, and then she rests her helmet on the front of her fiberglass at the beginning of her sled, not allowing her to get it much lower. Right there, she's resting it because she drags her head everywhere on the ice. I do myself. Nice. Taking that hit out of corner 9, keeps her runner straight, absorbs the hit well. You see the difference between a younger athlete and a more experienced athlete.
Sarah Reid of Canada, Michelle Steele of Australia, the race leaders in Austria. Big day potentially now for Austria's Janine Flock, 4th after the first heat. Can she push herself into a podium position here on home ice with her Kristen Bromley-built sled?
The pressure is on for Janine. No question that an athlete like Janine, who's never been in this position before to threaten for a medal, is feeling it here. How she deals with it is yet to be determined.
5:59 start, a few hundreds quicker than Heat 2 now. If she can ever find anything, this will be the place. Olympic champion John Montgomery, this is a nervous time for any athlete.
Oh, and I'm not going to say it. So far, she's been good. I'm not going to say perfect because I don't want to jinx it for her. But nice. Oh, takes a small bump out of Kreisel.
300ths of a second is her lead over our joint leaders, Sarah Reid and Michelle Steele.
Another small bump, 97 kilometers an hour. Not bad, 117.7. She's got 300ths in the bank. She's got the speed to hold on to it at the bottom of the track here. Can she maintain it to the line?
Can she find another 10?
Another tie!
Three-way tie for the lead. Well, we said at the beginning of this race, John, it was going to be insanely tight.
Very rarely do you ever see 28 corners, over 2 minutes of sliding, just under 2 minutes of sliding time, come down to a 3-way tie to 100th of a second.
3 girls, 3 different physiques, 3 different sleds, 3 totally different styles, and they're inseparable.
This is crazy. She could challenge. These 3 girls could all get a bronze or a silver medal.
But you know what? Who knows what might happen? There'll be lots of support for her, all the school kids down there as well.
Watch this line through Kreisel. Nice and smooth above these blue lines here. She doesn't let it get too low, just in the middle of her sled. Passes that line there and has one of the nicer lines out the exit, but takes a small bump there. And she also had another small bump at the entrance to corner 10, which she could have easily owned the winner's position at this point, the podium spot.
Well, friends and family are there. 3 to go. We have a 3-way tie for the lead. 2 Russians left and 1 American athlete. 1978 again?
Yes, Maria has been known to have a bit of a tougher second run this season. Let's see if she can finally get that second run that she's been looking for.
Well, the 5:51 start goes some way to helping. That's a fraction quicker than her first heat. You're right, John. Consistency is really her Achilles heel. If she can get a good run, this could be her first ever World Cup medal.
And so far this year, she hasn't capitalized on that second run, but she is 2600ths up at this point. A lot of that is from her first run, but she's had a pretty good top portion of the track here. Nice and late into Kreisel. Smooth through that first section, but a bit wavy on the last part. Going late into corner 8. This is not good.
Best ever World Cup result so far in her career, 9th place. She still leads. Gaps down to 2,500.
96.7, not as fast coming out of corner 9 as some of the other athletes. 117.1. She's only slightly back. Got 2 tenths in the bank. She should be able to hold on to this. to the finish line and take over that leader's position.
This is to put her in the podium instead of all three of them, and she does it by just 11 hundredths of a second, but that is enough. Exactly the same time set by Janine Flock of Austria. But those three girls may yet finish in the medals, and Maria Oliver, for the first time in her World Cup career, guarantees herself a medal, and she looks livid with herself, or determinedly pleased with herself.
I think she's pretty pumped. That's just her persona. She's a tough girl. She's saying, yeah, I did it. Coming out of corner 11 here, nice and low, gets over to 12 early, maintains the kind of energy that she was going to need to displace those three women in the leader's box. Gets over to 13 well, smooth lines at the bottom of the track to help her keep that 11 hundredths of a lead.
Well, a lot of friendship between all these athletes. They spend a lot of time traveling, training, and socializing together. Maria Oliver leads with 2 to go. Last week's winner, Noelle Piker's pace, who, if she wins here today, will be 2/3 of the way towards a €100,000 prize.
Never mind trying to make up 5/100ths of a second. This is trying to do what she's got to do to get it done to earn €100,000, or her portion of 100K. That's a whole lot of added pressure.
For every one of the 5 disciplines, there will be 100,000 for anybody who wins all 3 races at Koenigsegg, Igls and Sochi. 5.64 getaway, fraction slower than he had won.
One of the few athletes that slowed down on her second push.
And that shows that she's a little behind Maria Oliver.
Pressure might have gotten to her on that second heat, but she's only 500ths back at this point. That is definitely the kind of time that she can make up on this glider's track.
I'm not sure I've seen pressure get to Noelle Piker's pace. She just smiles through everything.
She's found another 100th. Smooth line through Kreisel, going a little bit late to 8, but that's the kind of line that she can definitely compensate for early to 9. And a nice exit there, using her toes to maintain that trajectory. 98.1, Martin, that is fast. She's gonna have the fastest speed down here at the bottom. 1:18.9, fastest of the day, 1800ths in the bank.
She's going for gold. Noelle Piker's pace will put herself into the lead. Wow. Yeah, baby, says Tuffy Latour. One finger from Zach Lund and fist pumping the air from Noelle Piker's pace. Kids, mummy's gonna do it again.
Trying to bring home the bacon.
Well, she's only won at 3 tracks previously in her career, prior to last week.
Michelle Steele still with the fastest second run, though, with a 55.40, eclipsing Noelle by 1/100th of a second here. You can see how good she was. But Noelle does an excellent job of navigating the bottom portion of the track here with the fastest speeds. Allowed her to take the lead, keep the lead, and hopefully say to Elena Nicotina, you're going to have to take this from me, lady.
So now then, for Elena Nicotina, the junior world champion in women's skeleton, it is crunch time. 20 years old still, from Moscow. She has won twice on this track here in Igls, Austria, since Christmas. Not at World Cup level, but at the second tier of Intercontinental Cup. She does know how to get down here fast. Can she claim her first ever World Cup win?
Let's see if she can repeat that blazing start she had on the first run. Fastest on the first heat with a 5:49. What does she do here? 5:46, she improves on it again. Not the fastest of the heat, but definitely 3/100ths quicker. That's the kind of getaway that she needed to keep her lead in this race.
Well, that gives her a quarter-second advantage over Noelle Piker's pace of the USA as she lies down. Can she hold on to it? Yes, she's opened it up to nearly 4/10 of a second.
Beautiful lines here at the top of the track, executing flawlessly. Going into corner 7 here, nice and late, staying on those blue lines, and a beautiful exit. She is putting down a textbook run here. 4/10 out in front. Oh, my God, that is the best exit we've seen of corner 9. She definitely deserves this podium today. She is having a flawless run, 3/10 in the lead, 1:18.4 for speed. She can't give it away if she keeps the shiny bits down, Mark.
3,200s up, and it is going to be victory for Elena Nicotina, and Noelle Piker's pace in silver medal position sees potentially €100,000 fly out of the window as the 20-year-old World Cup rookie claims victory in only her 3rd race at the senior level.
That was beautiful. Congratulations from her teammate, Olga Polotmatina. And now we get to see some tears of joy.
Yes, we will. And Maria Oliver goes to congratulate her. Maria also on the podium for the first time in her career. And gabbling with excitement is Yelena Nikitina, junior world champion on this track, twice a winner in the ICC this last month, and now a World Cup victory as well.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Thanks for my first race victory.
Yeah,
I speak Russian fluently.
Well,
And here's her getaway. Really rangy athlete. They're recruiting athletes that look exactly like Alex Tretiakov. And if you compare them side by side, they've got the same stride, cadence, and distance. Nice, beautiful line through Kreisel here, keeping those blue lines above the sled, or at least in between it. And probably the best exit of corner 9 you're going to see right here. She gets her peak late, picks it off the corner, and doesn't even have to fight to keep that sled straight. Two German coaches, Willie and Thomas, being proud of their Russian protege.
yes, they are. And, of course, Willi Schneider, it's the sled as well as the coaching, as well as the athlete. He's controlling the whole pot there. But for Yelena Nikitina, she is going from strength to strength this season. My goodness. Two Russians on the podium. Maybe it's because she looks so young. I always get the impression that Nikitina is petite, but no, she's fully 5'7". She's even taller than Maria Oliver. Noel Piker's pace separates the two Russians in second spot. A three-way tie, tantalizingly off the podium for Janine Flock, Michelle Steele, and Sarah Reed after a fascinating race here in Igls in Austria. Igls in Austria has seen young Russian sensation Yelena Nikitina take her fourth win in as many weeks on this Austrian track. The junior world champion kicking Maria Oliver into a third place, but second in the European Championship rankings. Janine Flock of Austria takes the bronze medal in the Europeans. And for Yelena Nikitina, her first World Cup race means that the European title goes along with her Junior World Cup Championship gold medal that she won, her Junior World Championship medal she won on this track back in December. So Yelena Nikitina has had 4 races here in the space of a little over 4 weeks and won them all. John Montgomery, the Olympic champion, she may as well just set up camp here and say, come on, bring it on.
She owns this track at this point, and this is the kind of confidence she can take with her over to St. Moritz. Another track that's sort of similar to Igls here, a glider's track. Not as demanding as some of the other ones here, but you can see her going through Kreisel, executing perfectly, coming out right down the pipe into corner 8, and another beautiful exit of corner 9 here. Gets her peak in the middle, low under that last pressure, And this is the reason why she was the winner today. She executed perfectly and pushed fantastically. You can't take this medal away from her. She earned every little bit of it.
Well, she had the fastest first slide by 500ths over Noel Piker's pace, the fastest second slide by over 0.2 of a second, nearly a quarter second quicker than anybody else could manage. So a very valid winner. Now, Marianne Thies somehow clings on at the top of our World Cup rankings ahead of Anja Huber. Sarah Reed still there in third place, snapping at their heels. And there are the rest of the top 20 positions in this season's World Cup rankings, with just one World Cup race left to go. Now, let's get down to hear from our top three. John Morgan is with them.
Igls Toma giving away the flowers here at the World Cup Women's Skeleton event in Igls. Here's our flower shot, ladies. And now we into some pretty exciting interviews. And Maria, what a day for you, your first medal ever.
Да, это было не просто, так как у меня были проблемы со вторым заездом все время, но как-то сконцентрировался либо сейчас, либо никогда, поэтому я очень рада безумно своим заездом и то, что я смогла это сделать. Спасибо всем, кто болел. Спасибо большое.
She's thanking everybody, of course, but she said her emotions caught up with her. Congratulations over to American Noel Piker's pace. Noel, the $100,000 is gone, but still, you're here. Innsbruck's a great track. You were behind at the top on both runs, and on the bottom part of the track, great speed, and you like this place.
I do. I love this place, and it was a little disappointing to come down, and she just had some great runs today, some good starts, and so I gave it all I had. I had some good pushes and some good downtime, so I'm really happy with my results.
Congratulations on the silver medal. Alana, Innsbruck, 4 weeks, 4 victories. You like Innsbruck?
Я люблю Инсбрук, и теперь это моя любимая трасса. У меня тут 4 золотых медали за этот сезон. Спасибо всем, кто за меня болел. Я очень рада.
Yeah, she's very happy here. She's won the ICC Cup here. Previous couple events, she's had a great time here. She thanks everybody. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations indeed to all three girls. 2 first-time podium finishes, a first-time winner in Yelena Nikitina. Fantastic. My thanks to John Morgan, to John Montgomery for joining us, to you for being with us as well. On behalf of the whole FIBT TV crew here in Igls in Austria, I'm Martin Haven saying see you next time out. Bye for now.